Hi everyone, welcome to Dividends, the show for and about your College of Business, and I could not be more excited about my guest today, starting with Bonnie Harvey. And if that name is familiar to you, it may be because she is one of the original founders of Barefoot Wines, the largest wine brand in the world. And several years ago, Bonnie and her sidekick, Michael Houlihan, who you'll meet in a bit, came to Mississippi State University to talk with our entrepreneurs, and it was so impactful that we invited them back for our big grand opening and expansion. So Bonnie, thank you for making that long trip from California. Good to have you here.
Well, we are delighted to be here. We love speaking with students about entrepreneurship. I think entrepreneurs are the most exciting people in the world.
Well, and you are one.
Indeed I am.
You wrote, you had an incredible story. You wrote a best-selling book about it, and we wondered what would happen if we replaced the old stodgy, dusty textbooks and with your book. And our students absolutely love your story. And I think they were most amazed by the fact that you and Michael never owned a winery, but you had such control on the brand. So if you could give us the Reader's Digest version of the Barefoot story, that would be great.
Well, the Barefoot Spirit is the name of the book, and the total title of the book is The Barefoot Spirit: How Hardship, Hustle, and Heart Built America's #1 Wine Brand. So the story is all about hardship, starting with no money and no knowledge of our industry. Hustle, we had to be resourceful and get out there and make things happen with our community and with our allies, our people who would succeed if we succeeded. And heart, which is giving to the community and supporting nonprofits. So that's the very condensed version.
Well, and we tell our student entrepreneurs that it is very important that they give back. But it was also strategic for you because you did worthy cause marketing. You didn't have a marketing budget, so you would go and support causes around San Francisco, and then you'd run to the area liquor stores and say, hey, do you carry Barefoot Wine? We're going to support this, you know, Save the Whale event in the park, and they're going to be looking for a wine, which is really clever, and it was also very cost effective.
Absolutely, and we would give them wine for their fundraisers. We would put a little tag on our bottle around the neck of the bottle and put it in the markets around the fundraisers that said, please support your local community fundraiser. So that would bring more people into their event, and the people that belonged, that were already members of this organization, this nonprofit, would tell their friends, and they'd go out and they would buy our product. So it was a win-win situation.
Well, and also at the time, the wine industry was pretty stodgy, and you wanted, and this is an important entrepreneurial thing, is to be disruptive. Yes. So how did the footprint come about?
Well, Michael went into the largest buyer in the state of wine, and he had over 300 stores that he bought for. They were Lucky's and they were chain stores. And he said that we needed a name that was the same as the logo. Michael said, what do you need? So we thought about it, and what relates to wine: crushing the grapes barefoot. So that's how we came up with the name. The label, we came up with the foot imprint. I said, well, where am I going to find what I'm looking for, which is a long, thin foot with a high arch? And then I realized I've got one right here on the end of my leg.
So that's your footprint.
That's my footprint, yes.
Wow, that's amazing. And also, you're a California company, California Wine, and it conjures up that sunset on the beach, walking, doesn't it, a little bit? It's
relaxed, it's comfortable. You can pronounce every word on the label. It's very friendly. You don't have to have a degree in enology and viticulture just to order a glass of wine.
So this is your second trip to Mississippi State.
Yes.
And I know how much we enjoyed it, but it is not easy to get to Stark Vegas from Northern California. So why come back? I sense a genuine passion for talking with students.
Definitely.
Really, what brings you back?
Well, it's the expansion of your entrepreneur center, the E-Center. We were here when it was just getting going, and that was maybe 7, 8 years ago. And now that you're opening up the e-center to more people, you've expanded it, it's twice the size. More students can get in there and work with their projects and get some good ideas from other people around them. And we love encouraging entrepreneurs. That's the basis for any successful society. And they employ people in the area. We've always worked with communities. Even though we were a national brand, it was one small community at a time that we worked with. And entrepreneurs support communities, so we're privileged to have an opportunity to come here and talk with you all again.
Well, the privilege and pleasure is ours because
thank you.
While you folks are here, you've already done radio, you're going to talk to some local business leaders, you're going to give our keynote address, you're going to talk with our students, and it truly is a remarkable story, and we're so tickled that you're back, and I want to thank you so much for that. Now, there is another half to this duo. I wouldn't say the better half, but Michael Houlihan, your partner for 40 plus years, we're going to take a break, and he's going to join us and talk about the latest business venture, which I think you'll find very fascinating as well. So stay with us, and we'll be right back.
It's been said that every dream has a destiny. That's why at Mississippi State University, our Center for Entrepreneurship and Outreach is encouraging big ideas every day. In fact, our world-renowned process of idea development and immersive learning is so strong that we're unleashing more than 100 startups and spin-offs a year and generating nearly $21 million in annual income for the Mississippi economy. Graduates of the eCenter are realizing success by revolutionizing marketing through technology, solving problems and building efficiencies through innovation, and lighting up lives through play and learning. These and other young innovators are adding hometown jobs, spurring growth in their local communities, and inspiring others to take chances and put their dreams into action. Imagining the possible and achieving it. Mississippi State University.
Welcome back, everyone. We were talking with Bonnie Harvey, one of the co-founders of Barefoot Wine, and now her better half, or better third, Michael Houlihan joins us. Michael, good to have you here. We're so tickled you're back in Stark Vegas.
And it's great to be back.
Bonnie sort of told us the story, which I know our viewers are interested in. It's been a long journey, but you guys don't rest. Even after you sold out and made some money, you're off to the next thing. But that's just the way entrepreneurs are wired, isn't it?
I think it is. We just can't stop.
Well, I'm fascinated by one of your new ventures, and it's business audio theater, correct? And what you're doing, and I'll let you explain it, but you're bringing these stories to life, but kind of like in a retro fashion of the old radio stories. And I listened to a clip of one of them, and it really is fascinating. So tell folks all about that.
So, as experienced business people and having had a large business, we appreciate the fact that the biggest challenges that business face have to do with turnover, have to do with engagement, have to do with recruitment. You know, how do you find the right people? And then you invest in them and you train them and then you lose them. See, so this is what's really hurting business. So we thought, you know, wouldn't it be great if people already knew the business story before they walked in the door? If they walked in and they said, you know, I've heard your story, I want to be part of the next chapter. Isn't that the guy you'd rather hire than says, I see that $100,000 a year job?
Yeah, well, but then you had the brilliant idea to showcase that story in a way that was unique and compelling, and it makes you want to listen, and that's by not just having somebody read like they're reading the book, but you bring it to life. You've got, you know, actors, and it's really audio theater.
Right. So it's the difference between narration and dialogue. So narration is read to you. Dialogue is performed for you, especially with sound effects and music. So the idea is we're living in a mobile generation right now. People are running around with earbuds on. You know, what are they listening to? They're listening to podcasts. They're listening to books on tape. And why? It's because they want to get their chores done, and they want to get their exercises done. And it's something that they can do that's multitasking. So we love that idea. And we also love the idea of radio before television because it expands the mind. You know, if somebody says John walked into the room and sat down at the conference table, your brain goes out and finds that touchstone picture of the room. And so you now are engaged in the story. So you're more likely to remember it, less likely to forget it, more likely to employ the principles that you've learned.
Yeah, and so novel idea, and you've taken it out there. You guys were just, what, in Arizona? And how is it being received when you go to conferences and try to explain folks and sell them on the idea?
Well, it's a new concept. And, you know, just like Barefoot, you know, we're start things that, you know, we've got no competition. That's the good news. Bad news is got no competition, can't compare it. So it's a little bit of a curve. But we did win top 20 business books in the world by a international group of 75 countries that review all the books every year for last year. So we're very happy. It's being well received. The whole idea here is that business can be very boring. It can be text, and it can be, you know, perceived as prescriptive, right, and even patronizing. But when you're the fly on the wall and you're listening to some guys arguing over here about which way to go, and this woman is trying to get some financing to get her business started and nobody will do it, well, then you begin to empathize and you say, you know, I know how she feels.
Yeah.
And at that moment, you have identified with her policies, her goals, and so now you want to work with her, or you want to lend money to her, or buy stock in her company, and that's the whole idea.
Well, folks should check it out at Business Audio Theater, and you can listen to some clips, and it really is interesting. And I want to wrap things up by taking one of the phrases that you have that we always hear folks say, chase your dreams. But you sort of pivot on that, right?
Yeah. Well, all my life I've been told to, you know, follow my passion, see? But you know, we gotta do more than that. You see, your passion is not necessarily going to pay your mortgage, right? So we say, follow your opportunities passionately, because life presents you with more opportunities than anything else. The question is, how can you seize upon an opportunity and use your passion in solving the problems of your opportunity? Now, at Barefoot, we did that because we're big on conservation, we're big on saving what's left of the planet, and so we were able to support nonprofits that do that and use that as an advertising.
Well, I want to thank you for the opportunity to spend some time with you and Bonnie. It's great having you here in Starkville. It's great having you back. It really adds a lot to our event, and wish you continued success, and we'll do this again in 10 years. Deal?
Deal. Thank you very much.
Y'all, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Dividends.